Blackview reached out to me and said, hey, do you want to review our Tab 12 Pro? And I said, sure, go ahead, send it out. We'll take a look at it. And it's coming up on a Prime Day deal. Normally, this is $169, something like that, which I think is a little pricey. Now, we're going to be looking at $135, which makes this viable for a couple of different uses that we'll talk about. If you're looking for an alternative to the Amazon Fire stuff, you don't like it, you don't like having to sideload Android, you don't like the ability of not having the Google Play Store and all the rest of it, and you're looking for something for full Android, but you know the A7 Lite Tab Samsung isn't really for you. This is something that's kind of in that same price range that's going to give you roughly similar performance in a couple of areas, but I do think it has some advantages as well, and we'll talk about that. So you got metal construction, you got the band here atop, the plastic band for the different antennas and stuff, so to be able to get reception. Then you've got the display, a really nice display. I'm going to do this part off camera here. Don't have my pattern there. Really nice display. I mean, that's the one thing I think they nailed. Not the most color accurate thing in the world, but what a lot of inexpensive tablets really fail on is brightness, and this certainly does not. This gets nice and bright. You can see it in sunlight. I really like how bright and sharp the display is, despite the fact that it's not the most color accurate in the world. It's running Doki OS 3.0, which is running on Android 12. I've used Doki OS before on that C80 Oscal device that I reviewed not long ago. It's kind of grown on me. It's different. I like the pastelish design of it. It's a relatively, I won't say it's stock, but it's a Android version you're going to be familiar enough with if you've used One UI or any of the other different skins of Android. You'll be able to pick it up quickly. It's not something that's going to require a lot of quirks or something like that you really have to go through. I do like some of the things that the tab provides. I like the fact that I could pull down the notification shade from any portion of the display. See how I pulled it down there and it came down the center side? Now if I pull it down, it'll come down the center, and I'll do the same over here. I do kind of like that for a tablet. And one of the things that this tablet provides that's a benefit is we could go into here, PC mode. I really do like that it has a full PC where you could do the keyboard, you could do a mouse, you could set it up. It gives you more of a desktop environment. That's something that you see on the Lenovo tabs a lot. And so I like to see it here at a budget price point as well. And we talked about the display, 1080p, decent viewing experience. The one thing, if it does have a weakness, it's not performance, believe it or not. You're running a Unisoc, one of those inexpensive, low-cost Unisoc chips. But the problem is the performance, because they pair it with 8 gigabytes of RAM, which is quite nice. And that, I think, saves it, because it's able to cache a lot of stuff. We'll talk about it, and we'll show performance in a moment. The thing that I think holds this back for streaming is the Wi-Fi. It's 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi, but the Wi-Fi modem, I think, is a touch slow. So I did notice some buffering on live video. Like if I wanted to watch Twitch in 1080-60, some of it was okay. If you let it kind of buffer for a moment and catch up, then you could do it just fine, and it actually looks rather nice. But some of the stuff live you might have an issue with. YouTube was not an issue. YouTube was great. Sharp. I watched my own videos on it, which is fantastic. So I had no problem with that. So that, I think, was something to keep in mind. Dual speakers, stereo speakers, they're okay. If you go to the top end, it's going to blow out the sound a little bit. So that's something that you might want to look at. But if you don't want to use that, you got a headphone jack, which has been removed from a lot. The one thing I'll question is the headphone jack placement, which is right on the side here, on the corner. So that's kind of screaming for damage to your headphone jack, or your headphone cord rather. So be careful with that. But I do like the fact that it's included even on a thin device. And that's something to talk about as well. Even though it's a metal device and metallic, it is nice and thin. I think it was like 7 millimeters thick, but also 400 and something grams. For a tablet, that's pretty good. It does light. It's nice. One-handed use is quite good. So let's talk about that performance, because that's the other bit here. Performance-wise, outside of the internet speed, I was happy with it. You will pull up threads here. Anything that you're going to want to do light-wise. You're doing intense gaming on this? You're playing Genshin on this? No, of course not. But scrolling through threads, scrolling through Twitter, scrolling through Instagram, it's a nice experience. And even like that, there's an iPad there that doesn't have a full-page Instagram experience. Here, it's a nice experience. It's smooth. Stuff stays cached thanks to the benefits of that 8 gigabytes of RAM, so that's something that you might want to look into. But overall, web browsing, everything like that, I was pleased with. I really didn't see much of an issue. And then you pair it with that nice and bright display, and you have something going there. Expandable storage. It comes with 128 gigs of base storage, which is good. You want to see a nice big hard drive there for your stuff, so you can put your media on there. But also a micro SD card expandable slot if you wanted to use it that way. So I like the fact that you could get this kind of $135 if you want something to take to school, relatively inexpensive, could pair well with a keyboard. They have a keyboard case for it, I think, as well. It comes with a case. I had it here. Oh, yeah, here it is. Comes with a case. Okay, a rather nice one. Kind of like the kind of Apple-esque case for the top here. This is not magnetic, but then it's got the full kind of gel skin case that you have that protects it and then covers the screen. And plus, it comes with a screen protector as well on it. Charger in the box. So for that $135, you got kind of a one-stop shop type situation where you could grab this, give it to somebody, go to school with it, go to work with it, throw it in a bag, and not have to worry about it damaging because it is quite solid. So overall performance is good. The one thing that you can do with this, it has Android Auto capability as well. We'll go up here and you can see it, Android Auto. That's a benefit for this. If this is something, because of the bright display, because of the nice big 10.1-inch display, you could throw this in your car if you could find a proper mount for it. Put a USB-C charging, which is good. Decent charging. I think it's like 10 watts. It's not the fastest charging in the world, but it is USB-C. But you can put this in your car, mount it, and use this for an Android Auto screen. And I think between navigation, it's got GPS in it, navigation stuff, you could link it. This one is an LTE. I don't know if the global version is LTE or the one I got is just LTE, but it does have, I did test it with T-Mobile. It worked fine. But you get something like this in your car, be able to link it up to your Android Auto and have this as a nice big display. And I think a nice big bright display, you can touch it. That's nice use for it. Inexpensive. You're not going to be worried about it in your car if something goes wrong with it. So that's something that you could use it for. But overall, I'm impressed. Like I said, $169. I think there are other choices that you could lean towards that are much better than this. But for $135, for the right uses, this is quite good. The one thing is, look, Doki OS, I've experienced this with the Oscal, the C80. It's running a security patch from last November. So as far as promised updates, what you're going to get, don't go into it thinking you're going to get 4 years of monthly updates. So if the updates are the most important thing for you, which they are becoming more and more important, and they should be, this is not the tablet for you. But if you're looking for something different, like I said, you want an alternative to the Samsung, you want an alternative to the Amazon Fire devices that could drive you nuts sometimes. It's like basically using Android 8 when you're talking about some of those Amazon Fire devices, and if you're not really interested in the Amazon ecosystem and what they provide, this is a nice alternative to that. If you've made it this far, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Until next time, have that Steve-licious day.